Welcome to podcast number 27, where I am talking to you all things about money. So, this is a part of the show where I normally tell you I'm so excited to bring you this content. But if I'm honest with you, can you hear my little kitty cats? There's some birds on the patio and they don't like it. So, this is a part of the show where I normally say I'm so excited to bring you this content, but actually, I'm a little bit reserved to bring you this content because as I go out and talk about money and my money story, I'm triggering people, which is really, really interesting. So, I used to be triggered around money in so many ways. And the messages are coming up saying, look, I used to have a thing with money. I don't have it now. I'm all good, but I'm just letting you know that your post triggered this, upset that, I disagree with it wholeheartedly. These are the reasons why. And I'm like, that's really interesting. It's actually still triggering you, and that's okay. So when we find something that's triggering us or challenging us, it's an opportunity to look within ourselves. So some of this podcast may trigger some things for you around judgment or comparison or anything like that. And if it does, I really invite you to come to my half-day workshop so I can just guide you through it and talk about it, or send me a DM, and I would love to be able to serve you to break through these barriers now around money like I am doing. I won't say that I have, but basically because I still have a lot of work to do. You can hear that uncertainty bit in my voice when I say I have, but I am working on it. So let me tell you a little bit about money and me. So this is a part series. Today is part one. I'm going to keep them short and sharp because there's so many things about money that we can talk about. But if I go through everything in the one podcast, I think it's just going to be a bit overwhelming. So also my transition with my money story has been quite accelerated after working with my mentor, Diane McKendrick. So what I'm going to say this week is going to be different to next week because that is the acceleration that I'm on. So let me share with you about money, my story. For many, many years, obviously decades, whenever I went to pay for something, I felt physically sick in my stomach. Like even if it was just my daily groceries that were already budgeted for, and I had the money in the bank, I would still, when I paid for something, felt physically sick. This feeling would increase when I was buying something special for myself. It did not exist when I was buying something for others. Extravagant gifts for others, it wouldn't worry me at all. I would just spend whatever. I love being generous. I love giving gifts. I love people having the experience and the feeling of escape. So that was not an issue, but spending money on myself, my pain threshold, like internally through the roof. And I was just noticing feeling physically sick when I was spending money. I had no idea how much money I was earning. In my mind, I was earning $50 a week because that's what I had told myself my pocket money was. So all of my triple figure income that was coming in as an exec was coming in. However, I didn't see that. It was like, I get $50 a week. That's where I positioned my value in terms of money in my mind. I had a very scarcity mindset. And I just lived my life like that internally with no one really knowing. My husband didn't know about my money story, although he caught me a few times where I would, want to buy extravagant things for others. But he's like, and why are you trying to save 73 cents on this item in your grocery cart, right? So he started noticing things, never brought it up with me, but just started questioning. And I started to really think about money. And a lot of my friends had been talking about abundance, and I had such significant blocks about abundance. Like, what does abundance even look like? Do I even deserve it? And stories coming up around abundance, like to be abundant, it comes with greed, that, rich people are not greedy, but there wasn't a connection between wholehearted and heart-centered and money for me, like cold hard cash. I just couldn't see that connection then where people like, oh, I'm manifesting like financial wealth. And I just wasn't aligned to that at all. It was really, really challenging me. So fast forward to today where my business has quadrupled in 6 months. I have just secured a beautiful beachside vacant block of land and just signed off some gorgeous plans for a dream home of mine and my husband's and my family's up here in Port Douglas. I actually got more money than I expected in my account. So I looked at my account yesterday and yeah, I had a significant amount of money. I'll talk about upper limits later, but above my upper limit, more than I expected, unexpected payments coming through. And I honestly attribute that to all of the work that I have done around money and also to God. So a lot of you that listen to me know that I'm a Christian woman. And so I don't believe it's possible for me or for any human really to access anything that it's not divinely yours. So I am working on my growth in divine flow. So in divine means within God's flow and his timing. So I think regardless of whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, I'm not here to judge you. But I do think there's something bigger, universal, bigger than us here right now on this planet. So divine source, energy, whatever it is, I believe there's something larger than us, and that money is energy, and that also that money flows to us from a source, more powerful than us. So, and if it's divinely meant to flow to us, that it will, and that we are taken care for, and we have everything we need in the exact right time. So that includes money as well. So I just wanted to share with you what has worked for me around changing my story about money and increasing my abundance. This is my own learning and my own growth from my mentors and my own work, but this is how I have transformed from feeling physically sick every day around money to having abundance, unexpected abundance coming in, and not only financial abundance, but this show is particularly about money, so I'll talk to you about money. So divinely yours, is it divinely yours? We've just talked about that. The first thing I started doing was noticing my language around money. Yeah. So that was around, I can't afford it. I heard myself say, I can't afford it. I shouldn't, shoulda, woulda, coulda, all those languages. Buying things and then feeling guilty. I just started noticing those feelings come up. And in terms of my language around money was, that's expensive. I wouldn't pay that. Those, you can see me, going back and pulling all that language. Feels so far away now. I was like, where is it? All of that language coming up. I started noticing my thoughts, really, they were coming up for me. That I felt guilty, fearful of numbers. My bank statement would come in. I wouldn't look at it. I totally removed myself from being responsible for anything to do with money. I had no idea what I was earning. I had no idea what my bills were. I took zero responsibility for my finances, my taxation, didn't know what my superannuation balances were, had no interest in a long-term plan. I just totally shut myself off from money. So I started really noticing that. And I started thinking about what are the stories I have around money. So money doesn't grow on trees. I would hear that a lot as a child. Money doesn't grow on trees. I remember just simply not having enough. I remember, there's a key moment where I felt this immense fear around money that I have dissolved since then. So if you do have any fears, I work with clients around dissolving their fear as well. But I had a fear. I just remember as a child being at McDonald's and we were on a vacation care excursion, and my mum had given me a certain amount of money and instructions about that. And my brother wanted, all of these things. And so I had the responsibility of, no, you can't have that. But then the issue of trying to add up all the numbers before I got to the counter, and I was nervous and scared and fearful, and it was all money was just too much. It was just too much, too stressful. So whenever I was dealing with sums of money, not anyone else's money, like I could count floats and floats and safes full of cash, not an issue, but my own money, having money was, I could just feel these old stories coming up. And there was also a paradox around what I was experiencing as a child with my mum and what I was experiencing as a child with my dad. So two totally different mindsets there, where my mum was very frugal and logical and, budgeted, and we always had everything we needed, where my father would just splash cash, would always see wads of money in his wallet. And there was just two totally different worlds around money. And I just didn't understand money like I understand it now. So first thing is noticing the language. noticing my feelings around money, noticing the old stories around money, and just thinking about whether they're actually serving me or not. And they weren't serving me, they were holding me back. Most of my feelings around money were negative emotions. If I felt good about money, it was a split second, and then it was back to feeling guilty. So not when spending on anyone else, but just for spending with me. So really notice that. So after noticing my language and my thoughts and my feelings and my stories, I start to work through, well, what are those stories? What are the rules around that, journaling around that, and just creating a new mindset. And then I had to build a relationship with money, which I know can sound really weird, but you need to build your relationship with money. Okay. So the first thing I did was created space for money every day. So I set an alarm. It may go off while we're talking here. It probably will. So I set an alarm for a certain time every day. It comes up on my phone. I don't know if you know, but when you have an alarm that goes off on your phone, you can actually change the text. So it says, I love money and money loves me. It goes off at the same time each day. And when that does, I just drop everything and I actually just feel into what it would look like to have abundance, to be showering in money, to have enough money to give to others, and just be out. It's about contribution. It's just giving freely. So if I'm going to be on this planet and live with purpose and, you know, lead, heal, and inspire the feminine to truly evolve, why not have money as well? So I can just be free and like help others, contribute in ways I never imagined. So yeah, super exciting. It's seeing my whole energy elevate there when I talk about it. So building a relationship with money. So I do that with an alarm. So alarm goes off every day and I just think about money. That's it. It just reminds me, I love money. Money loves me. That's what the message says. And that's my affirmation. And I just tune into that. I really celebrate money. So each time I go into my account and I see that I have been paid, I do a dance, like a physical dance. I mean, I play a song and I actually physically dance. You might have seen it in my social medias. At the moment, I have a song. I can play it for you a little bit later. If I play it now, I'm going to go off. My mind is going to be focused on money and not you. But I'm grateful for every single cent in my bank account every day. So when I get paid, I'm like, I just got paid. It's super exciting. I'm grateful. And I just really celebrate that. I used to just go, oh yeah, that's come in, thinking, well, it's going to have to go out again. So what's the point? But it's like, celebrate it. The money's coming in, you know, and it's going to flow out. It flows out as easy as it flows in. So, you know, just really celebrating that. I also bring abundance in as part of my morning ritual. So for those of you who may have been following me for a while, you know that I do daily gratitude practice each day. And as part of that, I'm writing, you know, what my soul purpose is. And then I'm focusing on my abundance each day. So I will write something, some sort of affirmation that is linked to either abundance or financial wealth. I'm also very clear when I journal on what is my number, like what do I want to earn per year? What does that look like per week? So when I'm journaling about money, like I'm very clear around what amount I want to bring in. Okay. Do you have a home for money? So I want you to start thinking about, what does your home for money look like? And I'm talking about your wallet or your purse here. I didn't actually have one. It's like, I've got my phone and this random little card thing. You know, one of those card holders. Oh, I have to show it. So it was just a little thing for cards. Like there wasn't even any. So yeah, in part of the wallet, like Larry isn't even. That's in their wardrobe because they're like, oh, well, I can't use it into your life. You won't even have an abundant home for it. It's $500 a week pay. Like, where's it going to live? Like, let's have this wallet. Let's hold it. Let's feel what this abundant abundance is going to look like when you pull out your nice that now. Let's raise our vibration. So thinking about in part one, noticing the flow. So money's got my bookkeeper, so I'm not profiting equity and all those kind of things. I'm just sharing with you how I went from being physically sick about money to loving money, and enjoying money and not seeing it as evil, and sharing money and gifting money, and just doing that from such an open place. And that's because I know that it flows. So as it flows in, it flows out. Let me tell you about an exercise, and this is an example, and then we're going to wrap up this part one. So I just recently went on a retreat with my mentors, Diane McKendrick and Michelle Ann. It was for their elite clients. Only, I think 8 clients were selected. 8's my number. I don't know if you know that, but 8 clients were selected. So myself and 7 sisters went to this beautiful treetop house in Cairns, and we were at an exclusive retreat. It was a business mastery retreat, but as we all know, when we work on our businesses, we actually work on ourselves as well. And there was this interesting exercise where like hundreds of dollars of cash was just dropped on the floor. It was like, I don't know, $800. And so Diane took that out of her own purse and just put it in a circle and said, okay, this is from my purse, my cash, for you all to do with it what you want. And it was just so interesting to see people's reactions. People were like, they didn't want it because it was her money. Some people like, give me all the money. So they was going around the circle and they were just keeping it. And then people were like, well, that's unfair. I want some of that. And they're looking at Diane, say, well, what are you going to do about that? And she's like, I've gifted it. And it was, you know, we all looked at the money and we debriefed it. And she said, I'm comfortable giving this $700 out because it's going to come back to me tenfold, and I'm certain of that. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I had $200 at that time, $200 notes. And I was like, oh, well, do I believe her, what she's saying to be true? Do I believe that my mentor will actually have those funds returned back to her tenfold? Yes, I believe I do. So therefore, I am going to gift this $200 knowing that $2,000 cash is going to come back to me. So I believe it to be true, and that's going to happen to me. So I moved my 200 over to the lady beside me, Michelle Ann. So then she sat on it. She's like, how about this? Would you like us both to receive $1,000? She was like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, if it's going to come back tenfold, it's $2,000. So I'm happily going to gift you 200. And she's like, how would you feel if we both got $1,000 together? And I said, I would love you to receive $1,000. Let's do that. So we gave it, I've got the note right here. I'll put it out for you. For those of you watching on YouTube, you'll see it. So here it is. So she gave it to me. And we said, okay, so when one of us, the first one of us that gets the money back tenfold, you know, we're going to celebrate that like crazy, because then if it's true for you, it is also true for the other. And I don't know if you saw our Instagram stories. Let me know if you want a copy of the video, but there's a video of me the following day where I received notification that I had received that over that $1,300. Unexpectedly, I just went out and asked a question and the answer came back yes, and then there we are, the funds are there. Sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Once you tap into the power of money and you believe in it and you celebrate it and love it and live it. So that is a beautiful story for you. Totally true. Happy to share my 7 sisters who can give you their account of that story. But if you had told me that even 6 months ago, I would have just poo-pooed it, basically. I would have wanted to believe you, but I wouldn't have felt it. I would have known, love and trusted it, and I do now. So I hope today's money part 1 has been really helpful for you. I can't wait to talk to you about part 2 and maybe even part 3. It depends how crazy things get in my money world over the next couple of weeks. So take care, God bless, and have a beautiful week. If you would like me to go live on any particular content, please let me know. Just DM me and I'd love to prepare something especially for you. Okay, take care. God bless.